friends, Nerd Pediatrician here. Let's talk about sleep and sleep hygiene. Complaints about sleep are very common in people of all ages. I see this nearly every day in clinic. When I'm counseling patients and their parents about difficulty sleeping, I always like to start with the basics and review sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is the modification of behaviors and environmental factors to help you optimize your chance to get a good night's sleep. You'd be surprised how many bad habits that we can let ourselves and our kids get into that once you notice them can be relatively easily modified and can have a huge impact. How much sleep do we need? Human beings require different amounts of sleep at different stages in their lives. I've listed some goals by age range. Every individual requires different amounts of sleep, but for children we should be shooting at least for the minimum for each age category. Routine is key. One of the most important things to getting good sleep is having a predictable set of events leading up to bedtime. In the biz, we call this brush, books, and bed. Admittedly, it's kind of corny, but I do like the fact that it encourages reading. We're all creatures of habit, and children do much better when they know what the expectations are. The hour or so leading up to bedtime should be calm and devoid of high-energy activities. You also want to avoid screens for at least 1 hour prior to bed. This is one that the kids will complain about a lot. However, there's sound scientific reasoning to avoiding screens prior to bed. Tablets, phones, televisions all emit a certain wavelength of light called blue light. This blue light goes straight through our eyes to our brain. The prehistoric parts of our brain interpret this as, hey, the sun's not going down, let's not go to sleep. The brain doesn't start its process of making the natural go-to-sleep hormones, and falling asleep gets more difficult. Instead, use the hour leading up to bedtime for calming activities like reading, a warm bath, telling stories. I'm partial to reading and Sudoku. Speaking of routines, another very important aspect is having the same bedtime and the same wake-up time every day, even on non-school days. Now, I get a lot of flack from kids about this, but trust me, you'll thank me later. Having a set bedtime and a set wake-up time, or at least within an hour of the goal every day, will really help with those transitions, going back to school after the weekend or after holiday breaks. Assuring that your child spends time outside every day, as well as having regular physical activity, will absolutely help with their sleep schedule. And in case I need to say it, no caffeine. Kids don't need caffeine. Let's talk about the bedroom and the sleeping environment. You want their room to be dark and at a comfortable temperature. Some kids will still want their nightlight. That's totally fine, but stick with one that is not super bright. Exposure to natural sunlight just after waking up in the morning can also really help to jumpstart their brain and their day. So look, beds are for sleeping. If your child does other activities in bed, pretty soon their bodies will start associating the bed with non-somnolent activities. If your child is a worrier, trust me, bedtime is not a good time to go over these concerns. Setting aside a worry time well before bedtime every evening can really help with a smooth transition to going to bed. Teaching relaxation techniques to your children can also help them to transition to sleep more easily, so things like taking deep and slow breaths or imagining positive and calming images. Psst, adults. Are you a snorer? Snoring reduces sleep quality and causes strain in the heart. You need to get that checked out. There should be no shame in the CPAP game. Finally, a few thoughts on melatonin. This has become a very popular supplement. Many of the parents that I see in clinic give this to their children just in case, which for several reasons is really a bad idea. First, as a dietary supplement, melatonin is not regulated by the FDA. There's no guarantee in the concentration or the purity. A 2017 study looked at 31 different brands of melatonin purchased at various retail locations and showed that over a quarter had serotonin in it. So look, that's another hormone, you just don't want to mess with it. Speaking of hormones, in the 1960s, melatonin was known as an anti-gonadal hormone, which is exactly what it sounds like. It was shown in mice, rats, and hamsters to decrease the size of the gonads and to cause difficulty with fertility. While not proven yet, there's a theoretical concern that long-term use of melatonin in children can cause problems like delayed puberty. Melatonin use in children should first be reviewed with their pediatrician and used only on a limited basis. Now, one caveat is that children with certain behavioral disorders, such as ADHD, can really benefit from melatonin, and this should spur a conversation of risks and benefits with your pediatrician. Instituting these changes on a consistent basis can help your child sleep better. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, as always, please leave them down below. If you're enjoying these videos, it would be really helpful to me if you would hit the subscribe button so I know what direction I'm going in. Thanks again for watching. Nerd Pediatrician out.